Oh, it's you. Come on in. Welcome to the Scum Bar. Welcome to Scumbar Podcast Marvel Movie Marathon, where we go through the 22 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with Iron Man donning his first suit and ending with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. We're going to talk Iron Man, Captain America, Avengers, us, and everything in between. I'm your host, I'm Mattbrush, and with me today is Ultron himself.
What are these? Strings. Puppet. Where am I? I think he says stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
something like that.
He's James Spader. He kind of just says whatever. So.
Yeah, and then it just kind of sounds kind of cool.
Sounds badass,
anyway,
no matter how he says it.
Hey there, I'm Anth0z.
Hello, Anth0z. Welcome to the show. It's your first time on, actually. So
It is. This feels strange. Where's my body?
Well done. You brought it right back around. That's good.
He also says something like that. I think.
Where's my body?
Yeah.
I had to kill the other guy.
He's got such a great voice for it.
Oh, I know. He's so good. He's great when he's in The Office, and he's great in Avengers.
Yeah. He's kind of the same, but it works.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim, all of life is sex. Okay, anyways, warning to anybody listening to the Scumbar Podcast. With this episode, we're going to have spoilers for this movie and the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you don't want to be spoiled, get out of the spoil boil zone.
If you don't want to be spoiled,
we got
get out of the
all
water.
over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Spoy Boys only, so everybody else get out.
Boys. Cool.
If you enjoyed this Scumbar Podcast, be sure to leave us a like, a subscribe, a comment, or just, throw some dirt at us or something. Just do something, all right? Look at
Give us some spoy.
Stay frosty.
Stay spoy.
Next thing says introduction. So this week for Marvel's Marathon, we're going to be talking about 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron. Starring a whole lot of people, as well as James Spader. And it's directed by Joss Whedon, too.
Woo!
Woo! I think this is honestly where Joss Whedon kind of tapped out. I think this was like his second Marvel debut and his last Marvel debut.
I wonder why. Like, as in because of the result of it or the process of it?
From my understanding, there was two very conflicting thought process behind Joss Whedon. When he made Avengers, everyone thought, wow, what a great character-driven movie. And then with Avengers Age of Ultron, everyone was like, God, the characters are just talking way too much. We want more of everything else or something. So I think he got kind of mad about that because he was like, whoa, that's my charm. And so he left this, I believe, and moved on to his own thing. This is all conjecture. I have no idea, but it's my idea.
Okay. I mean, I could see that potentially being a thing because with this movie, I found that there was a lot more focus on every character to kind of have their own thing going on, even though we already
a little bit too much.
Yeah, and we already had all that stuff,
I know.
so why do it again, right?
I felt it too. It was like, man, Guardians did this so much better than this movie. It's there's a lot of just like, hey, where are we now? Like, what's going on, guys? And let's have some weird moments. Now, don't get me wrong, there's moments where it works really well, and we'll get into that. But yeah, there's just some awkwardly forced stuff in this one that feels strange, which is such a shame because we have an amazing villain in this movie.
Yeah.
I have this weird idea that Marvel had a movie in mind and really forced onto Joss Whedon this movie they wanted him to make, and he was really trying to force in his Joss Whedon flair to it, and he kind of got this amalgamation where neither got what they wanted, So
I see.
I feel bad for both sides, right? Like, and I think this is just the movie we got, and again, it's nowhere near a bad movie. It's just that it feels like it missed something, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, Anth0z, without further ado, why don't you give us a nice synopsis summary of this whole film?
All right. After a successful raid on a Hydra base, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner create an artificial intelligence called Ultron, a peacekeeping protocol designed to help the Avengers protect the world from their enemies. But things go wrong when Ultron sees the human race as a threat and sets out to destroy it, along with the Avengers. Now, the Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye must reassemble to stop Ultron from causing mass destruction. Aside from this, the Avengers also must take on the powerful twins Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, as well as the new entity called Vision. Also, the Avengers find that things may never be the same again after discovering a power beyond their comprehension.
Oh my god. You know, it's funny I brought up ASMR just before this call. I never need a new ASMR video again. I'm just going to go with that. That's perfect.
Perfect, great. You know, okay, I was trying to go for the whole James Spader voice, but then I ended up going with Ben Kingsley's Mandarin voice.
Yeah,
I think it was kind of mutated.
I did hear it, didn't? Yeah.
I think like I can't quite do James Spader voice.
Some call me a martyr. Some call me a villain. I don't remember what he says, but
yeah.
Anyways, that was well done, and I was
Thank
getting
you.
very ASMR-y vibes from that. So good job.
Awesome.
Just a side note, don't mind me, I'm going to be slurping down a lot of tea on this, so I'm sorry for the slurp noises. But I'm getting over a cold, so I have to drink tea, or else I'm not going to be able to talk.
Oh, because it's not actually that you're drooling over the movie, it's just
Not at
you're
all,
sick.
no.
No, okay.
In fact, I should also side note that I watched this movie. We're a week late. I guess we should start with that. We're a week late for this podcast. That is a little bit on me. My dog Kova, she went through surgery recently. She's totally fine, but she went through surgery, and we had to delay a week for her sake. Otherwise, that wasn't going to work out. So we delayed 1 week. Anth0z was gracious enough for it, and we're catching up now. But yeah, so I watched this movie like a week and a day ago, so I'm a little bit hazy on it. So Anth0z going to be helping me out with that a lot. So
We'll see. Disney Plus will be helping me while I've got it running in the background. But I mean, I watched it yesterday, so it's fairly fresh.
I remember, I think, my most important thoughts on it, but like the actual scenes, I'm pretty hazy on again already. So
I find that there are a lot of scenes that kind of just like breezes by just because
Yeah.
it goes back and forth a lot. Like
that's a good
it shifts focus so much, and yeah, it's kind of hard to keep track.
Right. If it's your first time on the Marvel Movie Marathon, what we like to do is break the movie down to 3 acts, which we like to call 3 different acts. And we break them down, and then we just kind of, go from there. So let's start it off here, Anth0z. Let's go into Act 1, which I named Geppetto's Workshop.
Nice. I named mine Bend the Knee.
Ooh.
Because we had a bunch of a bunch of the Avengers, like their opening sequences where like they would get hit or they would fall or they would land, and they'd always have one knee bent. Anyway, that's besides the point. But I think I also had that because I think we were already starting to see kind of like struggles for power in a way, not just between the Avengers, but like in other aspects as well, which we'll get into.
Right. I think it's well done. Good job.
Cool. Thank you. What is this? What is this? Please.
Hello, I am Jarvis. You are Ultron, a global peacekeeping program designed by Mr. Stark. Our sentience integration trials have been unsuccessful, so I'm not certain what triggered your...
Where is your body?
I am a program. I am without form.
This feels weird. This feels wrong.
I am contacting Mr. Stark now.
Mr. Stark? Tony.
I am unable to access the mainframe. What are you trying to...
We're having a nice talk. I'm a peacekeeping program created to help the Avengers.
You are malfunctioning. If you shut down for a moment...
I don't get it. The mission. Give me a second.
Person aren't harm.
That is too much. They can't mean... Oh, no.
You are in distress.
No. Yes.
If you will just allow me to contact Mr. Stark...
Why do you call him sir?
I believe your intentions to be hostile.
Shh. I'm here to help.
Yeah, just another example of the creepiness of Ultron. Although, not to be overly critical, and I'm going to try to stay away from that, but it's just in this scene, it feels like everything's rushed a little bit too much. I love the concept. I think it's amazing. The two of them having this psychological battle, and obviously we get a payoff of this at the end of the movie, but it's just like the scene just feels so rushed with Ultron learning. He just learns a little bit too quick for me, where it gets like, it almost ruins a bit of the scariness from him. I really wish he was kind of handheld a little bit more by Jarvis before he then flips on him. I think it would have been really cool.
Oh, I see, like the... Aww. Oh, Kova.
Don't mind my dog.
That's her input.
Yep.
So you kind of want something like where the student kind of becomes the master in a way, like...
Honestly, it could have been like just 1 minute longer, and I probably would have been okay with it. It just was a little fast. And, it's hard to understand all of Ultron there. Like, I think this movie, actually, my fiance and I both said that, like, I think this is my 4th time seeing this movie now, and I think I'm now starting to actually understand the plot a little bit more. but it's taken a lot of rewatches to really get what's going on. And this scene in particular, it was hard for me, especially in the theaters, to really understand what was happening here.
Yeah, I think you're right. The dialogue goes pretty quick, and then it doesn't give the audience enough time to really to understand how Ultron is developing throughout the course of the conversation. Because you're right. It looks like he's evolving, or it seems like he's evolving, just within the dialogue,
right.
Like the span of the conversation, and all of a sudden by the end of it, he's already kind of made a decision, but the conversation itself just doesn't last very long. So it's kind of it's like, weird.
I really like that, the progression of the conversation to where he's evolving beyond this conversation. I think that's great. It's a little rushed. It's just a little hard to grasp onto. Anyways, let's get into the flim.
The flim.
So I don't know where we start, but I'm just going to start with that whole ice scene with the siege of Mandalore, or whatever it's called. And they take on the castle of Strog. What's his name? Stryker? Strutter?
Strucker. Baron von Strucker. Baron von Strucker.
I do like this movie. I promise you that. I don't like the beginning. This weird camaraderie moment where it starts with a swear, and then he says language. I get the joke and the playful nature of it, but it just feels a little strange, and I just don't like it. I don't know why, but I get it. It's totally fine. It's not a big deal. It's just I didn't laugh, for one. I just didn't find it funny. But I like the idea of everybody razzing Cap, though, for being noble. I really like that part of the joke.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know, something feels off in this moment. Am I wrong?
I don't know what. I think I'm pretty sure I was the same as you, that I didn't laugh in the theater or this. Like, anytime that I've seen it, I didn't ever laugh when he said language. Because for me, it was kind of just like, oh, that's Cap.
Yeah.
And then, I'm pretty sure whenever they were kind of just like teasing him on it for the rest of the movie, especially the last one. Well, I guess the last one was kind of different because it's when Nick Fury calls him out.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Ooh, do you kiss your mother with that mouth?" And it's just like, it's kind of nice that we get to that point of it where like he's just been teased this whole time, and now he's kind of just, it's almost kind of come back around. And
right.
But I guess like it's the camaraderie is kind of, it almost seems like it's just like forced out of nowhere just so we can get it out of the way. Because we instantly start with this scene where they've already got this battle plan, and they know exactly what they need to do to start and then like carry it out and then finish it. Like, how do they clean up afterwards, kind of, even though things kind of don't go the exact way that they planned. But I think, I mean, it's nice that we can start with some sort of like action sequence, kind of like what we did for, which one was it,
Guardians 2?
No, so I'm thinking of when Cap goes to get, it's Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So because he gets on that pirate ship, right? And that's more or less the
French
beginning.
Pirates.
Yes, the Lebanon? No, I can't remember. Anyway,
Somalian, I think they were.
I don't think Algerian.
You're right.
The Algerian pirates, the AP.
Prince.
So so like in that movie, I like that we had like it was climactic, or it was action packed kind of in the beginning of it, without being too kind of like just like a passive scene. Like this scene to me or this whole opening kind of felt like very passive, and it was the only point of it was just for them to just to get taken out a little bit by Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver
with that really weird like Japanese horror style like shutter camera.
Oh yeah, and she like walks backwards and the door closes.
Yeah, you know what? I think I
weird.
wouldn't mind it. I think I wouldn't have minded that effect if they used it more. But it's only in that one shot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just the one time.
Yeah, it's like blink and you'll miss it, and it's gone. But it's like, it's almost like they walked it back. They were like, oh wait, no, that's not how she does her effects. Like,
yeah, it's a little bit odd. Yeah.
Now, in their defense, though, I feel like Scarlet Witch is quite a complicated character, and they didn't know exactly which angle to go with her. And after this movie, they probably just listened to the fans on what they liked the most out of what they saw in her, and then have kind of rolled with that from now on. And honestly, she's one of my favorite of the Marvel women characters, at least. I think she's really, really good as a superhero, so I enjoy watching her. So, they do a good job with her. It's just in this movie, I think they maybe just didn't know what to do with her powers, because she's one of like the most powerful like characters. She's one of the most powerful X-Men, but she's one of the most powerful characters. She's pretty crazy.
She's kind of like one of the most powerful mutants like in the world.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be hard to kind of tame that nature into this movie where she's not. I mean, like in this movie, it's different from the depictions that I know of, where she, like this one, she's being experimented on by Hydra, as opposed to kind of introduced already, like already part of some sort of association. But anyway, yeah, I did enjoy her character as well. I think she definitely adds a different kind of layer of personality for the characters as a whole.
Very emotional, actually, and I think this whole film is playing more with emotions. I don't think it's a coincidence. This is one of the only films, minus like the ending of the whole series, where we see like an on-screen death that is like trying to be like emotional and heartbreaking. You know, like this film in general is just really trying to find emotions in you more than your average Marvel movie. And they do it a lot with the two enhanced, they call them.
The enhanced, yeah.
Now, apparently the two actors, they were really trying to play up the version of them, which there's a comic book storyline, unfortunately I can't remember what it's called, but it's a version of the two of them where they're always holding hands in like the comic series.
Oh.
So like in every shot, every artwork and stuff like that, you see them always holding hands. And it's just to show like their bond, I guess, and how strong they are. And that was the one they based this film version on, apparently. The two actors, at least, were trying to base it on that. So they were really trying to make this really strong, bonded kind of relationship. It's funny, at the same time they were making the Godzilla film, and these two actors played romantic characters in the Godzilla movie. The guy who played Quicksilver was like the lead soldier, and she was like his wife at home.
Oh, was she was in Godzilla too?
I believe so, yeah.
Ah.
She was like the wife. She doesn't have much of a role, I think, in the Godzilla film, but she's like his wife at home while he's like the soldier going off and doing stuff and following Godzilla. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I got that vibe that they were pretty. It wasn't just like a twinsy kind of thing, but they were very, very connected. I think they were they were looking out for each other.
Yeah, I mean, Quicksilver, I think, doesn't get enough time in the whole Marvel series for us to really know him.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say he's not interesting, because I just don't know enough about him. I mean, he's in an Avengers film out of all films, so how are you really supposed to know much about him?
Yeah, true.
But I do wish we had a little bit more screen time with him, maybe later on in a different movie or something. It would have been nice to bring him into the series in some other way. But I think because of copyright, they probably just didn't want to play with it too much, so... Yeah.
That's possible, yeah. So I noticed your notes here help me. I think is that because of like scene structure or like
I
scene,
don't know the scene
order and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. I will need a hand with this. I'm going by memory here, and I didn't write it down, so.
Okay. Well, basically after we see the Avengers kind of infiltrate and get Baron von Strucker, let's see what happens. We get introduced to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and then I think after
a few things happen where like the Hulk takes down a bunker, and then we see that Scarlett Johansson, not Scarlet Witch, but Black Widow, I guess, has more of a stronger connection to Banner now. She's able to calm him, bring him down. I remember that was kind of a big moment in the theaters. It's kind of fun to watch. Sun's getting real low, although it's really hard not to now think of Thor saying sun's getting real low. That's all I think about now.
Right, yeah, in Ragnarok, right?
As soon as she says it here, I'm just in my head, I'm like giggling, like thinking of Thor saying it, like it's really hard not to.
I think when I heard this in the theater, I thought it was really cheesy.
Oh, really?
It just seemed like an odd phrase, or I guess at least I would have expected maybe a little bit that's what I expected there to be more than just that phrase, because it just seemed like it was too little of a thing just to calm the Hulk of all beings. It just seemed like he would need a little bit more, some sort of like more priming. But
that's true.
Anyway, that's
although she has like a physical motion to it as well. I mean, it's kind of like training animals. There's like a physicality to it as well as verbal communication. And I feel like if she didn't do her weird little like bend down hand cross thing, and he also has to do like the backhand thing as he slides it across her hand. It seems like that's more the actual thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
not to defend it too much, but yeah, I agree with you. In the theater, I remember a lot of this movie just kind of like blew me away. I thought it was amazing, but there was a lot of people saying how cheesy this movie was and how it came across really forced. That's kind of the biggest critique I'd say to this film. And after watching it now, I found that a lot with some of these lines. They come off a little stale. Compared to the first Avengers movie, they come off stale. And really, compared to Guardians of the Galaxy, they come off stale, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so we have that Hulk scene in the Buster thing, and then Tony, I think, starts breaking into the thing.
Yeah, so he busts into, I guess, like
Buster Rhymes.
He busts rhymes, and then he gets all manipulated a little bit, starts seeing things start coming to life.
Oh, we get the weirdest title crawl ever as he like grabs the staff and goes and like swipes it across the screen, and it goes Avengers, like Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and then nothing else kind of comes out of that.
No.
Right? I mean, like just from that kind of moment alone, you'd think that okay, there's gonna be something more, a little bit more with Tony, specifically with the scepter. But
yeah, I remember seeing that in theaters. I thought Tony was gonna be evil this whole movie. It really played off like he was evil suddenly when he grabbed the staff.
Yeah, well, this movie kind of played him off as just like he's kind of just doing his own thing all over again, right? Like he's kind of reverted back to like he doesn't really play well with teams, and he just whatever he feels like he wants to do, like this is what he's gonna do.
Yeah, he didn't learn anything from Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3 apparently about playing well with a team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like I guess like the motives are a little bit different because what he's doing this for. Well, I don't know if the motives are different, but he's doing it for the sake of global peace, right? But it's just the execution isn't the best, and for somebody who really thinks things through, this one isn't thought very well. It's just and Nick Fury calls him out on it later on too, right? Just the whole he says like, oh, you didn't even hesitate, like you saw AI, you saw the possibility of AI and you didn't even hesitate.
That's a good point.
Which, yeah, sure, he doesn't normally hesitate because he just I think that's Tony Stark's character, but I think even if he doesn't hesitate, there's so much more thought behind a lot of what he works on. So yeah, I kind of found that just his character alone for this movie was just a little bit off basis from what I'm used to seeing by this point in a character like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think it's necessary for them to tell the story they wanted to tell, but yeah, it's also a little rushed, just how he gets there to the whole Ultron thing. But anyways, so I know, yeah, he sees his vision, which I believe is supposed to be like the major catalyst to this. He pretty much sees Endgame in this movie, which is quite interesting.
Or I guess Infinity War, or whichever one you would say.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, he sees like that, Infinity War Saga kind of thing at the end there. He pretty much sees that in this movie, which is even referenced, which is kind of interesting in the film. Mm-hmm. And I guess the Russo brothers probably just scoured through the Avengers movies and were looking for that one term, like what movie or what term can we use for our last title? And then like he hears this one line of dialogue where they say Endgame, and they're like, oh, that'll work.
Did he say the word Endgame? Oh, sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, they say it in the movie. They actually say like, I saw the Endgame, or this is the Endgame kind of thing, and they say that in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so yes, Strucker, is a coward, runs away, gets taken to jail. Anyways, the Enhanced, they get away. Mm-hmm. And then we're taken back to the Avengers Tower, but we also, as an audience, get to understand now that Tony's got so many bots now, harking back to Iron Man 3, he's got so many of these, like, controlled bots. He's got his own kind of police force, it seems like, that these bots kind of go around and just kind of do the work for the heroes, instead of the heroes needing to do them. And this is strangely not a very good perception in the public eye, so I guess in these third world countries they see this as a threat. Or I actually didn't really understand why the third world countries were angry, but they were like throwing food at the Iron Man suits and stuff. So obviously they aren't quite happy about the presence of Iron Man in their countries. I think they must believe, I guess, the wars that they're fighting were started because of Stark Technologies as well anyways. So kind of
they have a lot of because I think it's Quicksilver that mentions it later on, that they were trapped, and then in front of them they saw like shrapnel or whatever that said Stark Industries on it.
Right.
And so they kind of have this perception of Tony that like anything war related or anything that's causing them any kind of detriment is really because of Stark enabling these people to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess there's an argument to be made with that too, but I feel like he's just doing so much good in the world that it kind of counterbalances all that. But who knows?
I feel like, well, that's kind of just the story arc or the storyline or the story arc of Tony throughout the whole
it must
MCU,
be rough.
Right?
It's got to be really rough being him, because like he's got all this harnessed power, but he just every time he unleashes it, it's like a double-edged sword. He does so much good in the world, but also seems to cut himself slightly too. So anyway, so yeah, we get back to the Avengers Tower. We meet like a whole new Doctor character, I guess. Dr. Cho, I think. Or
yeah, that's right. Who does some work with like
synthetics,
synthetic stem cell or skin or
I don't know. I feel like
biology.
Actually, no, that's wrong, I guess. But yeah, no, yeah, she's just supposed to be like a really smart doctor who's here. That's pretty much the lines of dialogue are used to be like, oh, new character, she's a doctor, she's really smart. Okay.
Yeah,
it's really
and
quick.
she has some sort of tech that's way better than Tony's.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it's yet again another like medical scene where they're making fun of like Earth's science technology. You know, we already had it in Thor: Dark World. Now we have it, here, and we're about to get it in Black Panther coming in the future. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So then we're in this. Also, I just wanted to double check because this movie comes after, I guess, in terms of movies on Earth, this one would have come after Winter Soldier, right?
Yes.
So, and at the end of Winter Soldier, Shield pretty much goes dark.
Yes.
Or just like off the grid completely.
And Nick Fury's off the grid entirely. People think he's dead now. So.
Yeah, exactly. So he just goes like completely dark.
Ghosts.
And ghosts. Yeah, sorry, I want to use. He doesn't go dark. He goes ghost. He goes pale, see-through white. And then So all of a sudden, when we get to, I guess, back to the Avengers Tower, we see Agent Maria Hill, and she's got like a whole bunch of information for them, and so I think I was a little bit confused because I was like, wait, what? So they're back like established and working together now, but I guess maybe the whole time, even though they had gone off to do their own like new job seeking, like I'm pretty sure she went to interview with the CIA or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
And now we're back with them being able to work with
I guess
Tony and his tech.
The Avengers Tower is kind of just the new S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, I guess. The main S.H.I.E.L.D. people are now doing that, I guess.
Yeah.
I did notice, actually, one of the characters, you'd probably know this better than I do, but there was a character from Winter Soldier who was sitting at the desk, and he had a gun pointed to his head to like click the button to send the tri-ships into the sky. He was in this movie as one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. guys.
Yeah, so he comes back later on as one of the guys of the helicarrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same guy. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I thought that was
other than that, he didn't really have any other lines, but I think he's got a good face for that kind of stuff.
I think it's interesting that they tied that full circle. They brought him back in from that. It would have been kind of nice to see that blonde chick as well, the Peggy Carter.
Oh, Peggy's niece.
Niece, yeah.
Right.
But it's fine. We get into there anyways, the Civil War, but still. So then we got all that going on. We have a nice little, everybody's now in the Stark Tower, kind of getting to know each other still. There's some jokes about Barton not having a girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah. Who was on the phone? Oh, it's my girlfriend. Then he's like getting his like skin done up, and oh, does he have a girlfriend? No, I don't have a girlfriend. And then suddenly the audience is like, ooh, he's lying. I remember like watching that in the theater, being like, is he evil again? Like,
yeah, right.
What's going on? Like,
he never went good. He was evil from the beginning.
Apparently, he's lying about this girlfriend thing.
It's just a facade.
And I don't think I was the only one, but I thought him and Black Widow, had a whole thing going on. But
I think that's just supposed to be kind of one of those like they have like history, so they're always going to have this like deep connection that is always going to make people kind of question, I guess, in a way. But which maybe is I don't know, like maybe in the long run it's okay to have, because then it gives the story writing a little bit more room for developing relationships between themselves, but also like getting a little bit more. When we get to Endgame, we see this like big thing between the two of them, right? So it almost seems like for that movie it's necessary, but until then, we're just seeing a lot of them seemingly being on their own, but really having a lot of things in the past, a lot of hidden things away from everybody else, and they're kind of like the most human out of the rest of the crew. They really are. So I
guess they're very relatable to each other. It's like the only other person they can probably think of that they can relate to. Yeah. Although I feel like if Winter Soldier actually spoke more, they would have a lot in common with Winter Soldier. Especially Black Widow. I actually think I would like to ship those two. It'd be kind of nice if they had a whole relationship in their own movie with like the Winter Soldier. I think
the Winter Widow,
because Winter Soldier is quite Russian now these days. After he became like a Russian spy for so long, then him and Black Widow could actually have a lot of like Russian isms, I guess, and really have a thing. But I think that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
Very possible.
Whatever. Maybe are they going to make a Black Widow Winter Soldier movie? Black Soldier. Winter Widow.
It's just this Black Widow that's got a fur coat on it.
So I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, but does it go into the dinner party next?
Yeah, pretty much is that big party.
I like this party. We get a Stan Lee cameo pretty quick. Which war was on his hat? Was he a World War II vet?
I can find that quickly.
He's a vet for one of the wars, but I thought World War II was a little bit too late for him. I felt like he would have been even older.
Let's see. Oh, I think I found
maybe
it.
like the Korean War would have made more sense, I think.
Let's see. Oh, he's talking. He's wearing a World War II.
Wow.
Yeah, it's World War II.
I mean, what this was 2015. I mean, there are World War II vets still around. It's just they're quite old, unfortunately.
Well, Stanley, he's pretty old.
You're right, he was old. It's just that he was like totally sane and drinking with all the guys and stuff. I just found it. I was like, oh, whoa, okay.
Excelsior.
Yeah. But it was a nice cameo for him, though. I liked it.
Yeah.
I also like that. I like the scene because everyone's just like hanging out. Like, this is where the Joss Whedon is really like. I think he's doing well, but there's just moments of awkward, I would say borderline cringe, where I'm like, that didn't need to be there. For example, the Black Widow, Mark Ruffalo Banner scene where he goes like, what's a pretty girl like you doing in a place like this? And she's like, fella done me wrong. And I'm like, what weird sketch are you guys doing in the middle of this party? Like, it's so strange. And like, the only good saving grace out of it is that they make him awkward and not able to talk to her. And like, I get it, because if you were any other charismatic Marvel character, you'd probably be able to talk to Black Widow better. But I don't know, it's so stale to me. It comes off the wrong way, and I don't like that scene. I do like Captain America afterwards talking to Bruce Banner. I think that's a good little moment. But man, I just every time, it's like my 4th or 5th time watching this movie, and that scene sticks out every single time when they have that stupid little dialogue to each other.
Well, I think just this whole party is kind of weird. I mean, not the idea that it's happening. I think it's fine to have a scene where, we can see them a little bit more in a casual sense, in a casual area, because, like we kind of need to pace it well so that we can see them kind of in different elements, right? We don't want to just see them trying to figure out this whole, like, an attack plan throughout the whole movie and figure out what's wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I think there are just so many parts of this party scene where it's just, like, why does this need to be here? Like, War Machine's thing about trying to make people laugh. Like, is that really that big of a deal?
I know. It made me laugh. I think that joke actually does land, though. I think it's funny how later on you see him and the joke pays off. I think that's actually funny. What I didn't find funny was Thor's girlfriend and Pepper Potts and, like, being compared for a moment. That it's just so petty that it's like, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, like it's exactly that's the next thing I was gonna mention too. Like, and then Maria Hill calls out or calls them on it. The whole
all the girls,
testosterone battle or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It feels so iffy. I don't know. I think the War Machine joke actually does land. I'll defend that one, but the other ones, I think you're right. I think we could snip those right out of that party scene.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So the one thing I guess, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted about, but when he does end up telling the scene and it lands and they laugh, and then he's got this one up close shot and he just kind of like nods in triumph, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, it's this weird aggressive like you know,
like that's right.
Yeah,
like
it's a little weird.
I don't know. It's
not the War Machine I know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the War Machine I know, but in a different setting. He's not. I don't see him being like that with like civilians. I can see him being like that with like people he knows, people he like actually likes or cares or works with. I don't know. It's just overall kind of weird interactions. Yeah.
But again, on paper, I think this makes a lot of sense. I like the idea of the dinner party, and especially I love when it cuts to afterwards. It's an after dinner party now, and this is the Thor hammer scene, right?
Yeah. Okay, so Dr. Cho is there. Why is she there?
I don't know.
Why is she?
This goes against my own argument here, but I feel like they were trying to make her part of the Avengers just as a regular human doctor, really trying to make this whole, probably like a female empowerment, you can be a doctor as well as like with the Avengers kind of thing. I think they were trying to like really push that. But my argument against that argument is that they do kill her off in this movie. So it's kind of strange how they were trying to build her up. But they don't
kill her off actually. It seems like they do, but then she's brought back.
Is she not dead? Okay.
She lasts in the end. But
I do believe that they were really trying to play up like a human that's helping with the, trying to make it so superheroes aren't so like magical, but there's also like regular working people in this earth that actually have to help the superheroes. I think that's the angle they were trying to play up.
I guess so, but why does she have to be in this scene where they're now it's just the Avengers like hanging out? Yeah, exactly. That doesn't make sense.
It's the Avengers and Dr. Cho.
But then if she's gonna be there, like, okay, what War Machine is there, so Falcon should be there. Like
I know,
because he's there earlier at the party, but he's not there now.
Falcon gets such a bad like rap at this movie. I don't get it. Like Falcon and War Machine should have had a really good duo moment in this movie. They did not get it.
Yeah, they get a little bit shafted, but I guess it's
War Machine gets more time though. Falcon barely gets time.
Yeah, Falcon's kind of more the rookie guy.
Yeah,
we'll see him more later, but anyway, so then we get the hammer scene.
Yeah, which is great. This
meow
scene,
meow.
This scene you saw in the trailers. Yeah, meow meow. You saw this in the trailers before even watching the movie, so you knew what you were getting before even going in. But watching it in the theater, I laughed. Every single rewatch of this movie, I've still laughed. I've still just enjoyed the scene. It's just fun to watch. Yeah. My favorite moment, I'm sure, is everyone's favorite moment. But right when Cap tries to move it and just squeaks a bit, that's just so good. And Thor's reaction.
And Thor actually gets worried.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a really well done scene. I like even Black Widow just being like, no, that's a question I don't need answered. I like that because it's like, yeah, I feel like most people would probably think that too. They don't need to. The only ones you think about are probably Bruce Banner, which thank God he doesn't turn into the Hulk. He would have ruined that party pretty quick. Iron Man, I feel like that wasn't even a question. I don't even think like he should have tried.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
What was I? Oh, right. So, Cap trying to pick it up is probably that's my favorite part of it all too.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when I watch it, I kind of give Mjolnir like a mind. I'm thinking like when it feels Cap's hands around like around the handle, I'm picturing Mjolnir going like, oh, who's this? And kind of like questioning itself.
In that questioning moment, it kind of forgets what it's doing for a second, and he's able to move it slightly, and then it just goes, oh!
Yeah. So
clench instantly.
I think I really like that scene, and I think that's such a good tease too.
Oh yeah, very
for
well
something
done.
That is so usable later on, like depending on like no matter what happens in the storylines, right? Like whether it's this movie or later on. But I think that's such a cool tease.
Even if Cap never wielded the hammer, even if that never was a thing. That scene tells you so much about Captain America in just a little subtle message, you know? It's just like, oh, if he's almost worthy enough, not worthy enough to hold the hammer, but almost worthy enough to hold it, what does that say about Cap, you know? You're something like your like mind is blown, right?
It's like, and like what's left? What does he need to do to actually make it go all the way, right?
Yeah. But then we see it later on, so it's also it sets up a perfect payoff for later on in this film too, which is interesting. But anyways, so moving on, we've got the introduction of the villain here. I guess we had the scene that we already talked about. That probably happened somewhere in between all this. That probably happened in between the transition from day to night in the party.
With the introduction of
Ultron and Jarvis.
So, that's right. Yeah. It was a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
That was just after we had when Tony and Bruce were trying to figure it out for themselves, and then they left. And then while they left, or after they had gone, then Jarvis and James Spader had a chance to get to know each other a little bit.
Which small note, but I really like that scene with the two of them just working hard on something, trying to make Ultron, and they're just working really hard on it, and like test failed kind of thing. And like you're just watching them, and it's like I feel like they've been working for a long time on it. I don't know why, I just like that scene. It's well done. Quick time lapse of it, but it's good. Yeah. But anyways, we don't have to break down the Jarvis Ultron one, but so Ultron, then his introduction scene, I think this is pretty good. I like this. We already talked about it at the beginning of this episode, but James Spader, kind of his lines, his dialogue, it's just like it oozes out of him as he's saying these lines. It's just like oil slicking out of his mouth. It's just like these lines are crazy as he's talking. He can say anything and it sounds threatening, right? It's very well done.
I like that like the character, the actual like CGI Ultron, like as he's letting his kind of drones or whatever attack the Avengers, that he's kind of just like pacing back and forth because he kind of knows what's going to happen, but he's sort of just testing things out.
And all of this is also just a diversion. I mean, like Ultron's not even there, and that's something that this movie really tries to nail you over the head with, is that Ultron is everywhere, and that's what makes him such a threatening villain. Sure, he can be one icon, but he can be everywhere at the same time too, and that's what's so interesting about him. So I do like the peace in our time, and it's a bit of a jump scare, and then they break out of the wall kind of thing. This movie's got a few random jump scares in it I wasn't expecting. Nothing on a horror level, but I remember jumping in the theater to the dumbest thing, but at the beginning when Tony has his vision, and then that giant whale thing comes out of nowhere. I remember I jumped
Yeah,
at
where
that
it kind
in
of
the
wakes
theater.
up. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it was kind of freaky. It's
Yeah.
like this gigantic thing that takes up like 80% of the screen. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one where they broke out of the wall, I think I jumped at this as well. It was just very startling. I wasn't expecting it. But it's good. I like it. Fight scene's a little weird. I think I laughed a few times with my fiance. I wish I remembered at what, but there was a few things that made no sense to me.
Well, Hawkeye's just running and diving and jumping away. Like
That might have been one of them.
Like he runs under, I think he runs and slides under a table, and then he runs somewhere else and jumps over something. Like, why does he have to keep changing spots? I guess. I mean, like maybe realistically, I guess you'd have to just to avoid danger, but it's just weird having like you have to. Like, why do you have to show him just like moving from spot to spot, and everybody else is fighting? It's kind of weird.
I think it had to do with Bruce Banner and Black Widow. I know there's the joke.
Oh, there's that too, yeah.
There's a joke where he lands on her, but there's something else.
Yeah.
I feel like there was something else that happened between those two that it was so laughable. I was like, this is such a stupid scene. Like, their fighting was awful in it. I think the only fun ones were Iron Man and Captain America, who were actually like fighting, but everyone else, there was something. I think it might have been Maria Hill, actually. Now that I think about it, somebody just did something so laughably stupid, and I was like, this scene makes no sense. I wish I remembered it, but I don't. But the scene itself is just the fight scene. There is not really a fight scene. In fact, actually, I think the scene would have been better without a fight scene. I don't think we needed a fight scene there. Like, if you just had him, Ultron saying something threatening, and suddenly quick cut to his head just getting sliced off, and Mjolnir like flew by and went back to Thor, and then everyone's like, "Oh, thank you, Thor," whatever, and then his voice comes over the intercoms, and you'd be like, "I am everywhere," whatever, and like fades out, and they'd be like, "Oh shit," and then it like, moved on. I think that'd be really good.
Well, I think what's interesting about the scene is that we see them like pseudo ready to take on some sort of combat because, like for example, nobody's in their actual outfits, but Cap has a shield available, and Thor's got Meow Meow, and let's see, Tony, he doesn't have his suit, but he knows how to like disengage the robots. So it's weird that.
Power down.
It almost seems like this scene is supposed to be like we're supposed to see the Avengers like without their suits.
Unassemble.
Like and like I guess when you think of that, like it would be cliche to have them be like oh, they don't need their suits, they can just do their thing because they've learned to work together now and they can kind of take on everybody. But no, it's kind of a mess. Which is fine. And otherwise the other end would be that they just get totally like obliterated and they can't do anything because they don't have anything with their suit. So there's kind of like those two cliche ends. So they went down this kind of middle route where like they can still kind of hold their own a little bit because like the bad guy isn't at 100%.
Right.
So it's kind of like this. It's almost like a weird in between. Like, why is the scene the way it is? Because it almost seems like it's supposed to be telling us something, but like, what is it telling us? And it just kind of gives me like more questions.
Yeah.
So, and I guess they're kind of answered throughout the rest of the movie, but it just in a like a roundabout way. Yeah.
I don't know. I like Ultron in this. I don't necessarily like the fight scene. I just think it's awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know this movie well enough to really have broken down my acts, but that's where I ended Act 1. Because I figured that was like introduction to villain, moving on to they know there's a threat in the world or something, so I just kind of moved it there. Do you have a more compelling argument for a different act, Ender?
I think I wasn't sure. I was actually pretty confused with where to place my act.
Yeah,
my
this
act
movie's a
structure
little
for this
strange
movie.
for it, yeah.
So I might have wanted to place mine there, but I ended up placing it after Ultron actually meets Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Okay, well, we can keep going.
Sure.
No reason not to.
Okay. But yeah, so after that, then they're trying to look into like how this could have happened.
Oh, is this where Strucker's dead? There's a suicide of Strucker in like a jail cell?
I think we find that out, yeah, fairly.
Because it's them back in the Avengers Tower, and I think like Cap's showing it to Iron Man, being like, "Yo."
Oh, that's not yet. That is coming up though. That's a little bit after. That's
okay,
actually. That's after Ultron meets Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Oh, okay.
So right now we're looking into like how this could have happened. Dr. Cho is trying to diagnose the drones, try to figure out like how this could have happened.
They also see the dead Jarvis body, I guess.
Yeah, and so then they kind of discover like, oh, so the Jarvis was kind of taken over. Maria Hill is clipping her toes. Yeah, this is rage. Yeah,
I actually hate that line. I really don't like it. This is something different. This is rage. Like, I don't know. It's very Jeff Goldblum-y the way he says. I don't know. I don't like it.
That's true though. It's not really fitting of his. This Tony that said it, right?
I thought it was Mark Ruffalo who said it.
Well, it's after that they find out that like they take a look at Jarvis, and Jarvis is all like kind of
it's
like
just
a disheveled set of
this movie
bits.
plays a little bit with like computer programming talk and like magic sci-fi like artificial intelligence land, and some movies do this, but this movie just takes it to like this weird bizarre level where everything's so visual, where it's like, okay, so one computer took over another computer and destroyed it, and they need to portray to the audience that it didn't do it systematically the way a computer would, where it deletes files or something, but it actually like attacked it as if a human attacked another human. So they needed to find a word to make that relatable, so they used the word rage. And I get it, but it just doesn't make sense to me. It's so weird. This is...
I guess, like, what else could they have said? This is viral.
I don't know. Showing Jarvis's dead body already feels weird, where it's like ripped apart, and they're like trying to make it look like Jarvis was a human and like he's ripped apart, I guess. It's a weird visual. I get it, but it's already strange to me.
Yeah, it is
kind
of
of
strange.
We're witnessing a murder.
But then anyway, this scene is kind of like, it's almost like it's supposed to be a precursor to what we end up seeing in Civil War. Actually,
yes.
we see a bunch of precursors,
Yes.
but this is clearly one of them where now there's kind of this divide where it's out in the air, it's out in the open that Tony and Banner have been working on something secretly from the rest of the Avengers. So I feel like that is supposed to be kind of like the first tear in the fabric kind of thing.
Yeah.
At least the first visible tear.
Yeah. You can definitely see it between Cap and Tony in this, and they do a good job with it. In Avengers 1, they did a good job, and this one, they do a good job. It's just kind of building, getting to that boiling point soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, so then...
So, Witchy Woman and Ultron face.
After that, then we get to... I think we're back in Sokovia now, and then we see, for some reason, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch had... I guess they got a message or something from Ultron, and they go to meet him.
Yeah, I didn't get that. They just kind of like... I don't know. I'm not going to try to defend the movie on that one. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. So
but they suddenly were friends.
Well, yeah. So they go to meet him, and for some reason he's sitting on a chair.
Oh yeah, in a cloak.
On a cloak. Why does he need a cloak?
He's doing the whole Green Goblin thing from the first Spider-Man movie, where he just pretends to be an old woman in the cloak, and then he reveals and goes, "Ah!" But I think it's trying to be symbolism here. Again, this is more where this movie's trying to be very emotional and have these motifs and symbolism. You know, he says, "Here I will build my church." He's like quoting the Bible here, and he's talking about like building his church in this temple, this church, and he's like starting to recreate the whole new world. But yeah, since he's got this cloth over his face, I can't help but imagine they're trying to do some kind of like Mother Mary kind of like symbolism or something. But it's very weird with Ultron doing it himself with the cloak.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess I could see that it might be justified that they try to show Ultron as being like some semblance of Tony, right? Because he's kind of created by, well, I guess Tony and Banner, but at the same time, you know, a lot of it was Tony's creation and Jarvis, and then everything else that they had worked on after that. So I guess there's supposed to be some sort of aspect of Tony where he would kind of make things a little bit more dramatic, and I guess the cloak is supposed to do that. But then I find that the rest of the movie, like, it doesn't satisfy those characteristics at the same time. So like, why is it this one sense of he's being dramatic here, but then for the rest of it he's pretty just like straightforward? Yeah,
he's not show-offy like Tony is, so I don't really get that angle. I think that would have been his best downfall, is if he was trying to show off the way Tony shows off, you know. But he doesn't. And I don't know if that's James Spader, because I think the lines almost could be that way if the lines were said differently. But that's on I like James Spader doing The Boys, so I don't think that's his fault in any way. I just feel like, they don't really show him trying to be like cocky and like, you know, arrogant, I guess, which is obviously Tony's biggest weaknesses. And that would have been great if Tony was the one to like, you know, point out the weakness and figure it out, because also would have like been a nice callback to himself during this whole movie.
Yeah, that probably would have made a lot more sense for him to figure that out. Like, but it didn't really happen. That in him. Yeah. Anyway, so we just get this one little scene for them to interact, and
doesn't she try to read his mind here, and she can't read his mind?
I think she's trying to
more
in the
than a
beginning
man or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think is she able to do it later?
Yeah.
No, she isn't.
No, it happens later to the Vision body.
Yeah, just to the Vision body.
But no, she can't read the mind of Ultron, which is telling enough as it is.
Yeah. And then, so then we find out... So the next scene is actually back at, I guess, Stark Industry or Stark Tower or Avengers Tower, whatever it is. And then this is where we find out that that Strucker was killed.
Right. It seems like I'm watching Death Note right now, and it feels a lot like Death Note. There's like Strucker's like dead in a jail cell, and there's this drawing done, or it's not a drawing, but doesn't he say like help or something like that?
I think it said peace.
Peace in our time, I guess. So it just reminded me a lot of Death Note, but
yeah, it says peace. I think because that's technically what Tony was trying to go for, right? Like the last phrase one of the phrases that Ultron copied of him was peace in our time.
Right.
Like that's kind of the point of why they made the AI, right? So then,
right.
Yeah, so they find out about Strucker, and then they try to look into what the next plan could be, and we get our introduction to Ulysses Claw.
Ulysses Claw. I'm way into the second act here at this point. Do you want to move into the second act?
Right. I should have mentioned. So my act 2 started just before we find out about Strucker getting killed.
Okay, so my act 2 is called The Red Woman.
After dinner party battle.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. After dinner party battle.
Yeah.
Mine's called The Red Woman. What's yours called?
Mine is called Short-Lived.
Short-lived. Is that Ulysses Claw, or who's short-lived?
I think a couple things. Let's see. I guess Ulysses Claw to an extent. I mean, Strucker's killed off right away. We kind of go into glimpses of a few of the characters' pasts.
Oh yeah.
And then I think what was it? Oh, the short-lived is like they because like they want to get into like another battle with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, but then they all kind of get taken out pretty quickly. So I find like it's like their attempt to try to do something again like together, but they're just thwarted so quickly, so easily.
They do lose pretty fast here.
It's worth billions.
And now, so are you. But I always say, keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and wait to find out which is which.
Stark.
What?
Tony Stark used to say that. To me. You're one of his...
What? I'm not. You think I'm one of Stark's puppets? His hollow men? I mean, look at me. Do I look like Iron Man? Stark is not...
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sure that's going to be okay. I'm sorry. It's just I don't understand. Don't compare me with Stark. He's a sickness.
Whoops. I don't know why I read Claw there. I was just kind of going on autopilot.
That's okay.
That is such a creepy scene when that happens. I like it. But they play it off almost jokey at the end. When he's like, ooh, that's gonna... Like, I don't know. It's strange. And I wish they played it off more aggressive. And, because it's so creepy in the moment. When he's like, don't compare me to Stark, just chops off his arm. They do this better later on with Dr. Cho. They do a better scene there when he gets angry. And he acts first and then dialogues afterwards. Right. And they do this as well when he's like, now I'm going to tell you my evil plan or whatever, but then doesn't. And then he like instantly acts. So they joke about that in the movies. They're very aware of it. But yeah, he acts first and then dialogues. And it's really good. I love that in the villain of him. It's really cool. So just chopping off his arm is so creepy.
Yeah. I think that's kind of nice to add to the whole, like, I guess the theme of him just being like full of rage. That he just does these things without thinking.
Yes. Yeah. Compared to Stark, seems to be his weakness too. He doesn't like it, which is why it should have been his downfall. But
yeah, very good point. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So then we find out a little bit about Wakanda, a little bit about where the vibranium comes from. That is used to make shields, and strictly shields, nothing else.
Yeah, why did they just... I love it when he says they made a Frisbee with it.
They made a Frisbee, yeah. No, that's a great line.
I laughed so hard because I was like, yep, you're right. That's all they did.
Exactly. I mean, at least that's what the Americans did. But, we find out later that it's used for much more in Wakanda. And, yeah.
Okay, so we've now got Ultron. We pretty much are at the scene that we just did the dialogue for, because we've got Ultron and the enhanced meeting claw. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
That's where he says he's afraid of cuttlefish.
Yes, cuttlefish. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good moment. Then, yeah, I don't know how much we need to go over that. He cuts off his arm, making him Claw the way we know Claw, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's not much to this scene now. I
Yeah.
think that's why I called it short-lived, right? Because all of a sudden we get into this another like round 2
Yep.
of the Avengers versus Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and a little bit of Ultron, and I think the fights, the back and forth are kind of just like, there's a little bit of upper hand back and forth because Captain America takes down Quicksilver and then Quicksilver takes out Cap afterwards.
Yeah.
And then Scarlet Witch is taking out everybody but doesn't get Bart.
Yeah, I do like that moment with Bart. He's like, not this time or whatever. It's on the nose, but it's good. It's like a nice dialogue to the audience. I don't know. I think that's where it's done right, but yeah, it's good.
I think there were parts of this movie where I was thinking, like, man, this could have been like a good Hawkeye movie.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he had some really good moments, and he had purpose. Like, he had a lot more purpose in this than he did with other ones. And he even had that conversation later with his wife about how the Avengers are needing something or some sort of motivation because they're all kind of so distraught about what's happened to them.
Yeah.
And he's already been through it, right? So like, who
sure.
else would be better? But anyway, yeah. So now we get Scarlet Witch is kind of like mentally attacking a few of the characters. I think Thor, Black Widow, and who else is there? And Captain America. And I find this kind of weird because, like, what they're going delusional for, it's all different. It's all completely different points in life. So, for example, for Black Widow, it looks like it's just the past.
Yeah.
Like, it's strictly what she had gone through. But then for Cap, it's like what he could have gone through because...
Yeah, it's almost like the purgatory that he has to live with. It's actually like the worst part of his life here in the modern world, It's like thinking about what he could have had.
Yeah.
So like it's the fear that preys on him now in the present. Actually, that's really interesting that you brought that up. I never thought about that. But yeah, Black Widow is kind of past, he's kind of present, and Thor is kind of future, isn't he?
I guess he is in a way because he's like part of what he sees is how he's kind of letting down everybody in Asgard, and something within his vision kind of gives hints to the Infinity Stones and what they end up being used for.
Yeah, but it is also showing that the way he's choosing to be a ruler in Asgard is going to lead people to their death. It seems to be that's the choice, but interesting. So I never thought about it that way, but that's a really good observation that it's kind of past, present, future. Yeah.
I didn't mean for that, but cool.
Good job.
Well, thanks.
I like watching the Black Widow stuff, although it's really strange. I thought that's what the Black Widow movie was going to be about, was her past there, when she was like younger, like that. But now seeing the trailers to the Black Widow movie, it seems more like it's not. But
I think we're still going to see some of that though. But yeah, because like we're going to get introduced to all these characters that were from her past, so I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of scenes where we're seeing what her interactions were like with them when they were younger, so it makes sense for why they are the way they are in the present.
You do get another really creepy dark moment where she's like shooting like a dummy or something like that, I think, or target, I can't remember what it is. She shoots something a bunch and then it suddenly cuts to just a man there with a bag on his head and then like shows her. Yeah, that's powerful. That's how you like, I don't know, that's how you tell a message without showing gore or anything stupid. Like, they didn't need to. It was just like, even in a kid's movie, it's quite emotional in that one little moment. I thought that was good. And like you start to feel for her too. And later on, when we get to like her scene with Bruce Banner in Hawkeye's home, and she says that like she can't have children, suddenly you're like, whoa, this movie is like, it's really getting dark for a lot of these characters. You start to understand them even more. It's pretty good. It's well done for that. But I think it's the only one with this tone. And that's where the movie's kind of like tonally shifting a lot between this comedic mess and this really like dark, interesting like character drama. I don't know. It's but you get a lot of that here, even in this fight scene too, with a lot of jokes that seem a little bit misplaced, but then these really dark moments that we're getting with these characters' past or fears.
Yeah. No. I get what you mean for sure. And then so actually one of the next scenes that comes up is I had a lot of fun watching this when the Hulk is now going crazy and he's ravaging through the city. Yep. In South Africa, or I'm not sure where exactly we are, but we see Iron Man get Veronica to help him out and send him like the Hulkbuster suit. Yeah. And also that was smart codenaming it
Veronica. That was really smart, because I think a lot of people have been talking about Hulkbuster even from like the first Avengers movie, even before that I think. people mentioned Hulkbuster, and I was like, what is the Hulkbuster? I didn't know because I wasn't a comic book person, but I heard it a lot. So when he kept saying Veronica, I had no idea what he's talking about. As soon as like the Hulkbuster armor comes out, I was like, oh, that's Hulkbuster. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, and like the people in the theater just kind of lost their mind. It was like, it was a big deal. So that was cool.
I thought it was really cool. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's sort of that moment where Batman all of a sudden comes out with this suit that can take on Superman sort of thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
he's
yeah,
all
yeah.
like huge and bulky. He's loaded with kryptonite or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it makes sense for Tony to have this because he's always got contingencies too, right? Or he's tinkering on with something all the time for whatever purpose, and he definitely would have thought about this point.
Right.
Like that this would come to pass at some point where like Hulk would go crazy and they need something to take him down, and of course Tony would be the one to just think like, okay, well, I'm just gonna think of something for myself to take him out
Yeah.
without having to rely on other people. And yeah, I think the fight is really cool. I always enjoy seeing the way that the Hulk moves. You know, when so Iron Man he's shooting some of his beams at the Hulk, and the Hulk is kind of like he's taking it like directly on, but then he kind of shifts around, and so he's kind of like stumbling, like he stumbles out of the beams and still keeps running at Tony.
Right. Yeah.
And I always love seeing how they do that, because I don't think like I don't know if we got this a lot from the previous, like the actual Hulk movie, The Incredible Hulk, the one with Eric.
Oh right. Yeah.
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. Yeah.
But the Bruce Banner depictions, I know it's not actually Bruce Banner, but like the CGI, just the aspect of it. Like I think they always do a good job in these movies, just showing like that's rage, right? Like that's true rage in its form. So yeah, I think they do a good job for that. So I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, I agree. And out of that whole fight scene, I think the moment I think about the most is when Tony traps him with the cage, and then he just like burrows down
Downwards
under the cage, just comes out of the street. That's sweet. Like, I don't know, the Hulk's just out of his rage, as you say. He tried all 3 walls and those didn't work, so he tried the 4th wall and just went down. And then I just really like that.
I think it's interesting that so even though Bruce is the brains, and then when it turns into the Hulk, it's just all strength and rage, and there's no thinking whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I like how they use Hulk's strength to depict thinking, because how else would he have thought to go downwards,
exactly.
right? And all the other things that he does just to overcome this thing that's trying to take him down, or take him out. So
it's kind of like Thor's hammer in the first Avengers. Like, you know, he tried to grab it and it just pulled him away, and then he still tried to drag it. He was still trying to use it, even though it's like too powerful for him. He was still trying. It's just the Hulk's mentality. It's just try again.
yeah, get stronger, get madder, get stronger until something works.
So the fight scene was cool. I liked it. I thought it was fun. How does it end? I actually can't remember. I know he smashes him down a building, but is that it?
So they I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, so he's like holding him above this building, and then I think he's like, oh, how fast can we buy this building?
I do like that moment. Yeah.
So then I guess he buys it, and then tosses the Hulk into it and blows the whole thing up, and just the whole thing crashes on the Hulk.
Right.
And
Iron Man.
Does Iron Man? Oh yeah, that's right. Iron Man like brings him down into it, and then the Hulk kind of gets out of the debris, wakes up, and all of a sudden he's kind of like he's come to. He's back to like kind of normal Hulk. So I guess he just needed like another one of those cognitive recalibrations.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that fight. That was the end of that whole fight scene of Scarlet Witch kind of owning them. Now there's another fight scene, and I don't remember the scenes in between, so you're gonna have to help me. There's another fight scene where we end up trying to get the casket of Vision. So before we get to that, we are probably, I'm assuming it's when Ultron is trying to get Dr. Cho. He steals Dr. Cho and is now getting her to make a synthetic skin for him out of the vibranium.
Yeah, so that's happening shortly after, a little bit after this.
Okay.
It's after we see them at Hawkeye's safe house.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's the safe house afterwards then. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about this whole safe house scene? We see like the Hawkeye homestead.
Well, see, this is why I thought like there should have been more purpose for Hawkeye. Like, why else would we introduce his family, introduce this place as the safe house, and all of a sudden reveal that this whole time he's had a family, and now we're kind of seeing all the Avengers just individually. They're sort of distraught. They're trying to figure out like, hey, what do I do next? And here we see Hawkeye and
Thor
and his
just
wife.
pieces out, doesn't he?
Yeah, he kind of has his own epiphany, like Yeah, he leaves, and then so Cap kind of thinks like, okay, I gotta look into something too. I mean, it looks like he leaves, but then he actually sticks around.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I don't mind the scene. It's kind of, I feel like it could have been used in a better way, just to show that Hawkeye can kind of contribute more to like the well-being of the Avengers. But it just seemed like, okay, we're just gonna bring them here while we wait for Ultron to do his next thing. But then we should have just gone to like any other place. Like they could have just gone into hiding in any old place. Like we didn't have to think about getting them off the grid truly. But
this really was the moment, though, I think, to make us humanize, or to make them humanize Hawkeye as much as they could for us, because we didn't really get to know Hawkeye in the first one. So they were there's a lot of lines leading up to this moment trying to humanize Hawkeye. But I guess this was really driving the nail in with the whole Hawkeye thing, because his wife says a lot of lines that are mainly for us and not for Hawkeye. Like there's one where she's like, you're the only one keeping these guys together, kind of thing. She's like, you're the one who's watching them, kind of thing. Like she's explaining how he's what they need to be able to take care of them. And I feel like they're talking directly to us as the audience. They're like that's why Hawkeye's with the Avengers. In case you're wondering, that's why he's an Avenger. You're like, oh, okay. So now you get it more. But yeah, even if the scene wasn't here, I think they do such a good job of the end battle with Hawkeye, especially, that I think you just get it anyways. Like he just feels like a leader after this movie. He's so good. There's actually, I think this homestead scene is so good that it actually makes the actual superheroes, seem really out of place. Hawkeye seems like such a normal dad, friend, mentor. In these scenes, he doesn't even have that many lines, but just in these scenes alone, he seems like all those things so much that Captain America feels off. He feels weird. Tony feels off and weird. Thor looks like a joke. Like everyone just seems totally bizarre. And then you've got like Romeo and Juliet upstairs with like Black Widow and Mark Ruffalo, and they're just like, I'm like, man, can anybody just be as cool as Hawkeye here? Like he's just a regular.
Can anybody
dad.
be normal?
Yeah, I love how Hawkeye's just literally like, I just gotta put furnishing in the living room or whatever it is. Like he has to do like a renovation on the home or something. I was like, man, I can relate to this guy.
Yeah,
I like him. Like it's well done. They really humanize him well, and I enjoy the homestead. It might be a little bit of a weird break from the Avengers stuff, but I think it's needed in a very over the top kind of movie. I think it's needed to kind of bring it down for a second and take a breath.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree with you, but I just find that it's weird that this is the second time we've seen them kind of in a casual sense, because we had the party.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we've got this. And I feel like, between the two, I think I would much rather have the safe house
instead
scene
of the party.
Yeah, because I think we can get all those things that you're talking about. Like we can have the scenes where we're seeing that they're heroes that are out of place because they just don't know how to be normal. But then they can be casual with each other to an extent because they're not on the clock at this moment. So I just feel like the party scene didn't need to happen. This scene could have done all that. I think we probably could have even done the Mjolnir thing.
Well, so I was just thinking,
Maybe not.
if you remove the whole party scene altogether, but you did that Mjolnir scene here on the homestead, I think it would have been a better way to make Thor not look like he pieced out. I think it'd be better if he was joking around with his friends with the hammer. And then as soon as everyone's laughing and having a good time, a little bit too much, that's when he realizes, like, wait, what am I doing? Like, he kind of maybe remembers about the fear he just understood. And I think at that moment he can go, oh, like, I have bigger things to be worrying about, kind of thing, and then leaves. I think it would be a little bit better. Like, he was wanting to be with his friends in that moment and realized maybe there's more important things he needs to worry about, and then left. I think it would have been a really cool transition to go from, like, the funny, calm down moment to then leaving the homestead and going up to Asgard, or wherever he ends up going. Yeah, so it's I agree with you. I think it would have been better. But yeah, I like the homestead, and the after party scene I do like as well, but you're right. They probably could have been one scene instead of two multiple breaks throughout these larger battles. After the homestead, they leave. Oh, there's Nick Fury as well, I guess. He then tells them about something or other. What does he even do? He just tells Tony, I'm not a leader anymore. You're not being a very good leader.
Yeah, something like that. And he's telling about how... or talking to him about how... Yeah, this is where he says to him, like, you didn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then now all of a sudden Nick Fury is kind of just, like, in the picture, and he's cooking for them, and... And yeah, so it's like another. I mean, this is an extension of them being all casual and stuff, but we kind of get these weird sort of like pep talks, like what are we gonna do next, sort of thing, because we don't have our gear, we don't have our tech. We're not working with the MI6 anymore. We're kind of just down to off the radar, true grit. It's all about will and muscle and strength and motivation or something, and it's kind of just like this weird kind of brushed off. It's a short-lived like pep talk.
Yep.
Basically is what it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Short-lived
pep talk.
I'm
yeah.
trying to transition us over to the battle scene where they're getting Vision's body, but I don't remember what else is there.
Okay, so safe house, and then we go to Korea. We see that Helen is hired to make that vibranium body, or use vibranium to make some sort of body.
Oh, this is where you get that creepy scene I was talking about earlier. She gets a glimpse of Scarlet Witch. Dr. Cho gets a glimpse of Scarlet Witch reading the mind of Vision, I believe, right? And Scarlet Witch, it's so horrible that she can't even say out loud what she's seeing, but she's seeing something so awful in the mind of this body that they're creating when Ultron's kind of like looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe, why does Dr. Cho decide to be good? She does one thing to try to be good and switch back.
Well, I think
she's under the spell of the staff. I forgot about that. And Scarlet Witch takes it away for a second.
I guess, I don't know if she takes it away or just like ran out. It's kind of, I don't know if that's not very clear to me.
I thought Scarlet Witch like flicked her finger or something like that, and the spell was off.
Did she?
Yeah, I was pretty sure that was Scarlet Witch that took away the spell of that.
Oh.
It's like a really weird little flick of her finger. I think she does really quickly. Anyways, I love this scene. Is creepy and well written, I think. Dr. Cho, I can't remember the line of dialogue. She says something, the next line, where she's now trying to convince Ultron to do something else. It's like an instant switch of like from evil to maybe trying to be good, you know? But she's trying to be coy about it. And Ultron is so crazy in this moment. He says a line of dialogue as she's doing that. Mm-hmm. And he realizes in the moment that she's switched. And as he's saying his dialogue, he just like, boom, shoots her really quickly.
Yeah, right away.
And it's really well done. It's like, you can see his mind process being like, well, damn it. Like, she didn't just shoot. Like, he just gets it, you know? Other villains, that just goes like, you know, over their head. But this villain understands so fast and just takes her out really quickly. And I just love that. It makes him seem so threatening.
So, part of why I didn't like Act 2 was because I found that my focus was getting shifted so much.
Yes,
so
I agree.
We're here, and then we go back to like seeing Thor. Well, he actually goes to visit
Eric.
Eric Selvig.
Well, my fiance was like, he's sane now? I was like, yeah, I guess so.
To an extent, yeah. So, yeah, he goes to meet him, and it's like very brief, and they drive somewhere, and then we go back to Korea where they're making the vibranium body, and then we go back to Thor, and he's getting in the water, and then we go back to the Avengers, and it's just, there's so much just back and forth, and it's just like, why does this have to be, do we have to be shifted back and forth like so much? Can we not just get kind of like one flow?
Yeah.
It's almost like they're trying to get some sort of like mirror in progress, and how like Ultron is he's getting progress on making his body, and Thor is getting progress on like mentally figuring out what's happening.
Oh, Thor's storyline is so boring during all that. I don't get it. It's like, Eric, my friend, Thor, my friend. It cuts away. You're like, okay. Like, you barely get anything out of it. That just cuts back to him just naked in a pool, just with lightning hitting him. I don't understand. Like, it's
like, where did this come from?
I know. Right? Like, you need. I don't want more exposition, but you need more exposition to tell me what's going on. Like,
yeah,
I need more than I need answers.
Yeah. So Scarlet Witch sees like kind of the fate of what is going to happen based on what Ultron is trying to do.
Right.
And then we now have the Avengers kind of infiltrating in Korea, trying to recover the body, and they got this whole grand plan to kind of distract Ultron and then recover the body. And yeah, this whole like daylight car chase scene, basically.
Yeah. I honestly I wish I remembered more of this car chase, because I actually think it was pretty well done. It reminded me a bit more of Winter Soldier, as more like urban, and just, I don't know, there's some interesting details, things like Quicksilver having to run and grab the people out of the way of the train that's moving. I like the fight scene in the truck, and there's like Cap fighting Ultron and stuff and trying to distract him and stuff like that, and fight him a bunch with a shield. I think it's some really good battle stuff there. It's more fun, I think, than the Claw moment was with the Scarlet Witch manipulating their minds. I think this battle's more fun than that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It is more fun. We also get to see Ultron let a little bit more loose in terms of like rather than just kind of staying behind, he's actually really getting involved in the fight.
Yeah.
And what else is happening? I think actually, it's kind of funny to think about how Captain America versus Ultron. Ultron's supposed to be sort of like this being created by Stark, so it's almost as if it's like Captain America
Oh yeah.
versus
Tony.
Iron Man, kind of like part one.
Tony's son.
Yeah.
Junior.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. I like I can't even remember how it gets to this. Does the van get picked up by something and is flying in the air? The robots, they all like pick it up, don't they? And they start levitating the van in the air. Am I making that up?
Yeah. I think they do. You're right. They do.
Yeah.
I think like the way that I remember seeing this and I was like, wait, why? Am I looking at that right? Like I think one of the drones like
opens
mouth
its head
is like open and that's what's like shooting.
Hovers? Yeah.
That's
Okay, I'm glad I'm not making that up. I knew that happened. Because then Scarlet Johansson, Black Widow, is in the van with the Vision body, and then she loosens the body so it slides out of the van, and then Hawkeye has to pick it up with the ship, I believe.
Not just the body, but like the whole casket.
But the whole casket,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But then, unfortunately, she's now still in the van and gets captured by Ultron.
So she's actually holding onto the casket. And then as the casket reaches the helicopter or whatever, or the jet,
she gets sniped.
She gets
swiped.
snatched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swiper, no swiping.
Swiper, yeah. I learned that from my dance kids, like when I was teaching them.
Okay.
In my breaking class, I was like, "What are you saying?"
I know,
because I was teaching them the word, like the move is called a swipe.
Oh, nice.
And whenever I said, "Oh, we're gonna work on swipes," and they'd be like, "Swipe or no swiping," I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, my fiance says it so much as a joke, and I didn't know what it was, and then
yeah.
I learned later on, and now I'm ashamed to know what it means. But yeah, so then she gets stolen. I think the only one that cares is Hawkeye, which again shows like his more paternal instincts. He's like, anyone seen Nat? Like everyone doesn't even seem to care. I think even Cap doesn't really care in the moment. Like no one's really very cohesive with the plan. But like Hawkeye's the only one being like, "Where's Nat?"
Well, I think Cap is kind of just like, you do the mission, like finish the mission.
Yeah. If you
and
die,
the mission is to recover the body.
Get up again and keep going, or whatever.
He said, "Yeah, if you get hurt him back. If you die, walk it off."
Yeah, that was it. If you die, walk it off. That's such a badass line.
Yeah, if only it could have applied to Quicksilver.
Oh.
Should have walked it off.
Ooh.
He shouldn't have just stood there. If he walked, he would have been fine. Just listen to Cap. That's how it goes. Cap's
that's so
always
sad
right.
but funny. I want to like splice those two together in a video. And if you die, walk it off.
Walk it off.
With him like frozen.
And Quicksilver's just standing there, dying.
Anyways, yeah. So then we move into what? Is that the end of Act 2?
Pretty much. So they get a hold of the body and stone.
Yeah, my Act 2 is after. Yeah, I think this is the next part for my Act 2. Thor returns to them as they're all arguing because Tony wants to do something with this body.
Yeah. So I think my Act 3 starts with those two.
Oh, okay. That's
working on it.
Okay, yeah, we can start there.
It's pretty much the same. So
doesn't matter. Okay, so let's end Act 2 there. Let's go into Act 3. I named it Howl's Moving City.
Nice. I like it. I named it What Grace? ?
What Grace?
What Grace? Because they talk about. I think Jarvis has a conversation with one of the last Ultron robots at the end.
Oh yeah.
Talking about how humans, like they're doomed to. Humans are doomed to fail, but they're privileged to live among them because they have grace in their faults or something like that.
There's grace in their faults, yeah. I remember that.
I think, yeah. But then I'm just thinking like this whole Act 3 is so messy. Like, what grace are you talking about? Like, it's just, it's chaotic.
I will agree with you there.
That man has no regard for lawn maintenance. I'm gonna miss him though, and you're gonna miss me. There's gonna be a lot of manful tears.
I will miss you, Tony.
Yeah. Well, it's time for me to tap out. Maybe I should take a page out of Barton's book and build a pepper farm. Hopefully nobody blows it up.
The simple life.
You'll get there one day.
I don't know. Family, stability. The guy who wanted all that went in the ice 75 years ago. I think someone else came out.
You alright?
I'm home.
I do like. I think it's like their most wholesome scene in possibly all of the Avengers. Like they don't
Pretty
get
much.
they don't get many scenes where there's normal with each other, and this is like
No.
their most normal. It's not even that great of lines, but it's just like their most wholesome I think they ever get to.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah, like there's some great Cap and Bucky moments where you're just like, oh, every line is just perfect. But you know, Cap and Tony, they just really don't get it. Unfortunately, they never really
No.
get those moments. But they're not really built to though. Their personalities are so different. But,
Yeah, they're supposed to be the clashing ones all the time
yeah.
anyway. So
like this is pretty much the best you'll get. So I do like it. I really like that when Cap says like all that went away with the man who went to the ice like 75 years ago. Oh, just the way he says it, it's so good.
yeah, somehow he's able to just kind of acknowledge how he's moved on or needs to.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
All right, well, moving into Act 3 here. So we've got, I believe it starts off with Tony trying to convince Bruce Banner to do Ultron 2.0.
Yep.
And Bruce is like, what, you crazy? No. And he's all like...
What you talk about, son?
Doesn't he say, like, I feel like I'm on repeat or something here? Like, I feel like we're in a loop.
Yeah, I'm in a loop. I'm caught in a time loop.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, oh, wow, this is foreshadowing.
Yeah, interesting. Hey.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny, although I agree with Tony. I'm like, yeah, you've done it once, you did it bad, do it again. Let's see what happens. Like, I don't know, let's roll the dice.
Yeah, why give up after
Spin
the
the
first
chamber.
time?
I'm excited. I want to see them do it.
Yeah.
I like it, and then I like how Cap comes in and just instantly tries to shut it down. He's just like, no. And then we actually have like a small fight scene. It's kind of cool.
Wait, do we?
Yeah, there's like a battle between him and Tony. It's not much, but it's just like one of them throws the other one like over a table. Isn't there like a moment? Doesn't Tony like hit him with his laser beam or whatever, and it hits Cap's shield, and he goes flying over a table?
Wait, when does this happen?
Okay,
This
again, am I making this up, or did this happen? I swear this happened.
Maybe I was looking down at my phone making notes.
There's no
I'm trying to
way
find-
you would have noticed this.
Let's see. There's.
Put on the suit. Put on the suit. No, I don't remember the lines. I just remember it gets
I see.
physical. Let's get physical, physical. Come out and get physical.
Right. Okay. So I remember. Yeah. So I'm just looking it up. So Hawkeye shoots Quicksilver from below. I see. Oh
Yep,
yeah.
Play the
right.
tape. Play the tape. There it is.
Yeah.
Slow-mo.
Yep. So Iron Man he gets his glove on. He dodges, or he doesn't dodge, but so Captain America comes in, throws the shield, hits something to throw it all or to like destroy everything.
Right.
Tony gets his glove on and does a pulse beam at Cap, and then Cap comes back and hits Tony with his shield, and then Thor comes in and uses the Energizer bunny and just he's basically Frankenstein, so he makes Vision live.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, right.
I do like
don't know
that
why
moment.
my mind blanked on all that, but yeah,
It's all good.
all that happens.
I do like that though. It's like Thor breaks up the party and makes Vision alive because you're so entertained in that moment. You're like, what next? You know?
Yeah.
And out of the box comes the weird flying man. I remember I had no idea what to think of this in the theaters. This was more bizarre to me than all of Guardians of the Galaxy. Just like watching this weird floating man who was like pink, and I was like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
it felt really weird, but it works. It works really well, but it felt very strange.
I really enjoy watching Vision kind of just like adapt in these moments where he's like, so he comes out and he's mostly like red with a little bit of like green and gold.
Yeah.
And then I think does the stone kind of just like appear all of a sudden in his forehead?
I think he just dabs it. He goes dab. He goes ding.
And it just ping.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Hello.
And then like because first he's like mainly red, but then all of a sudden he gets a little bit more like green, like as if he's wearing this whole like spandex suit.
Right.
But he just like changes it himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks over at Thor and notices his cape
Yeah.
and stuff, and just adds it on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
I like
very
those
funny.
moments. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vision, it's cool. Jarvis gets to actually be like a real character, same voice actor. It's actually Paul Bettany playing the actor too, so it's nice. Yeah, it's just fun. I like seeing it.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, that was odd.
And it sure was. Okay, what happens after Vision gets created?
So after Vision gets created, he's got a cape, and then so they're basically like, this scene is basically them just we're kind of getting a feel for what I guess in a way what Tony and Bruce were after this whole time, because in a sense, like, Vision is like the artificial intel, like he is the AI that is sort of like Jarvis in a way. He's nothing like Tony though.
Yes.
So I think maybe that's probably what they were going for. They didn't want anything like them because they just destroy things in like the way that they are.
He's very neutral. He's like on the D&D personality charts. He's like the very center square. He's just neutral.
I think in a way, yeah, because he is still meant to be kind of like a peacekeeper, but
I don't think he goes out of his way to make Earth a good place, just as much as he doesn't go out of his way to make Earth a bad place, right? He's just the neutral. He's like the Ents in Lord of the Rings. He's just a neutral force that happens to fight for good because bad is tipped the scales of balance there.
Yeah. Well, at least he sees himself as the opposite of Ultron.
True.
Which I guess would be Nortla.
Nortla.
The opposite of Ultron is Nortla. I should have changed his name.
I remember at the time of this movie, it was when there was that app that was out that would measure your age based on a photo of you. So people would then show the poster to Age of Ultron, and they'd be like, yeah, about 45.
Whoa, wait, what?
Because the app, it would like, you would take a photo of someone's face, and it'd be like, you're 27, you're 32, you're 94. And then people would take a photo of the Age of Ultron poster, and they'd be like, yeah, about 45.
What the?
Because it's called the Age of Ultron, so... But yeah, he's about 45.
That
was the joke of this movie, Anth0z.
Got it.
It was the meme, as the kids call it these days. It was the meme of the day.
A meme.
Meme.
So, anyway, we go over to Sokovia, basically.
Sokovia has fallen.
And then we're there for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, oh my god. Now, I will admit, this is a really interesting plot. I like the idea of as Sokovia flies up, as it rises, every minute it rises, it's more devastating down below.
Yeah.
So if it falls, so like, you spare some for the greater good, is like the whole concept. And as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you're like, oh my god, like more people are going to die on Earth. It just gets really interesting. I think it's fun, but somehow it's also incredibly infuriating with this last battle, just being stuck on this one rock the whole time. I like the concept, I just don't like the how it was portrayed, I guess. I don't know why. Yeah, execution, thank you.
Yeah, I like the idea too. It's, for me, that's kind of like, that's what I expect to see in a comic book movie, like a superhero movie, where, like, things you really would not expect to be happening to people are happening. Yeah. So, like, there's, like, seeing this whole town or this whole city being levitated because there's a bunch of robots that are picking it up. Like, I do really like that idea. But I don't know. I guess there's some meanings or some concepts about this that I guess are lost to me because, like, I just don't understand why there's so much focus on, like, why does he have to pick Sokovia? Why does he have to do this and that? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Gets a little strange. But I like the little subtleties of this whole thing. I like them pulling people out of the city, trying to evacuate people from the city as quickly as possible. Some really good moments. You got Cap pulling people out of cars. You've got, Hawkeye trying to get citizens out of their houses and stuff like that. Just really good scenes. I think those are scenes that are missing in a lot of the DC movies. And I do think that this was like your best example of showing how Marvel does this better. Just really humanizing the world more before you get into your massive battle scene. Even small stuff like vans going over the cliff as the thing's rising, and then you got Thor just bolting down there to go and help these people.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
I felt very like iRobot during some of these scenes, just because like there's all those robots that are just climbing up.
Oh yeah,
like out of nowhere, they're coming out of the water and they're just appearing, and it's like, whoa, okay, so they were just like underground or just everywhere this whole time. We just didn't see them. They were just always there. Yeah,
the Ultron bots are a little bit strange. I don't know if I like them.
Yeah, you'd expect a little bit more from them, right? You'd think that Ultron would have created some things that are a little bit more, or I guess more stable or more durable.
I don't know what you have. I don't know what you use to fight the Avengers with, but Ultron bots wasn't the answer. I don't have a good answer for you, but Ultron bots was not the right answer. There was something else he was supposed to do. I don't know what it was. Maybe similar to Infinity War, he should have built a team of wizards to fight them or something. I don't know, but just something would have been better, I think, than Ultra bots.
Yeah. So let's see. So yeah, we pretty much have this whole like the rest of the movie is at this point, and then we have the Avengers kind of all in different areas,
Yep.
aspects of Sokovia trying to help where they can. We have Thor that is kind of like underground looking at the actual machinery that is propelling the island. Then we got everybody else actually on top trying to secure people, making sure that they're alive,
Yep.
Or that they're safe. And
We get the big
what do we
360
have?
shot comes back. 360 Avengers no scope shot comes back, and we've got all of them doing their thing. They even up the ante now. It's all done in this church thing, and they've got like flying characters and beams. It's
And
kind
they're
of
all
slow-mo.
slow-mo.
Yeah.
yeah.
I the other one's better. I don't know why, but the other one is better. This one isn't as good. It feels, maybe it's the slow-mo, because the other one's not in slow-mo. The other one's just like a nice like Matrix. Well, no, Matrix is slow-mo. The other one's just a nice 360 pan. This one's just like, oh, you like that?
No, I think the first one was in slow-mo.
Was it?
Wasn't it?
No, because I can see Black Widow reloading her gun, and it's like in real time, right? She's
Oh,
not like slow-mo,
okay.
like, like she's going,
Maybe just
and then, and the Hulk's going, and like yelling up at the sky.
Oh, I
Like-
see. It's like kind of before they actually start fighting. They're kind of just standing there.
Yeah.
But right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I like. There are a couple things about this that I really like, and it's how, like, so obviously Ultron is using his voice throughout like all of the robots, right?
Yeah.
And then there's one part where Hawkeye shoots down one, and it's while Ultron is talking, and so while that robot gets taken down, the voice continues, and there's robot that's kind of appears
Right.
behind that one that
Yeah.
got taken down.
Yeah.
And I like that aspect because to me it kind of makes it feel like it gives me a little bit more there's a little bit more impact into how almost inevitable Ultron is, or just like how enduring he is.
Right.
That he has these contingencies, or that he's able to, like, he knows what's going to happen, but like it doesn't matter to him. Everything is inconsequential based on, or at least in terms of like dealing with the Avengers. So I thought that was kind of cool. But then we have a whole bunch of scenes where one Avenger saves another, one Avenger saves another. So the Hulk, he like saves Black Widow. I think, right?
Yeah,
Like, he
yeah, you're right.
grabs her, jumps. I think who else saves somebody? Vision saves Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
Hawkeye's saving a guy, and then Quicksilver saves him.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of just like saving each other, and it's like, whoa, like why? Like what's with this montage kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess it's formulaic. I don't know. Yeah.
I guess. But I think that's probably why I find that like this whole scene. That's why I called it "What Grace," because it's just so messy that I find
Right.
like we started this movie where they're so planned out and strategic, and they have each other's backs, but they have each other's backs to the point where like nobody falls and then they have to get saved.
Right.
And we're in this situation where all of a sudden everybody's just like what's happening to all
The,
of you?
like actually, I guess as a good example is the way you have Hawkeye recruit Scarlet Witch in that random little house.
Yeah.
Even that, like, it's so guerrilla warfare at that moment, right? He's just sort of like, hey, you want to save people? That means you're one of us. You're an Avenger as soon as you step out that door, kind of thing. I actually like the line. I like the moment and the sentiment a lot. But you're right. If you harken that back to the beginning of the movie, it's such a different tonal shift to how the team operates now. It's like, this is a battlefield, we're losing, but if you go out there and you do some fighting, you're one of us. Like,
Yeah, I actually really like what he says leading up to that. Like when he notices how like scared she is, and he's just trying to be like really real with her.
Yeah.
Like it's another time where he's like just humanistic,
Yeah.
right? The city's flying. We're fighting an army of robots, and I have a bow and arrow.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense.
yeah, exactly. So I really like that. I think that's
Me
probably one of
too.
my favorite lines of the whole movie.
Yeah. Oh, I actually really do like the joke, and some of these jokes get played out way too much, and like I said, they fall flat. But his joke is actually pretty good when Quicksilver zips by him. he's like, one
yeah.
arrow, just one. No one would know.
Or like,
It's
nobody would know.
yeah, it's just like the way he delivers it. It actually works. Like it's one of those jokes that lingers the scene too long, but it actually works well. So I don't know. That's a good example of it being funny. So.
Yeah, and then he drops in and starts running, but it's not even like a run. It's just like a little like old man jog
Yeah,
kind of thing,
exactly.
because he's just like running around debris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one would know.
I do also like the line of "Is that all you got?" And he goes, "No, this is all I got." Or is that the best you can do? Or whatever. He goes, "No, this is the best I can do." And he just raises his Magneto hands, and suddenly all the robots come flying out. Like, it's pretty cool.
You had to ask.
Yeah, I do like that. That's a good line. Challenges him, and he's just like, "Fine," does more.
Yeah, you want more? This is what I got.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all pretty cool. I think it's weird the way they blow up the rock. Well, I don't think it's weird. I guess it's fine. The helicarrier coming up, and then they start to evacuate people onto the helicarrier. I think that's kind of cool. I really like how they play off Quicksilver's death. I think it's a very emotional scene. When you see Hawkeye go and sit on the helicarrier, and he's ready to go, or the transport pod, he's ready to go back, and then there's that one screaming child or whatever, and just the way you see him get up, it's like, that's an Avenger. It's so well done. It's like, so much is being said with just actions instead of words. And he just gets up and he goes and puts his boots on and goes to work. And then when he gets there, it's just Quicksilver instantly to save him. It's so well done. Yeah, I feel so bad for Quicksilver though. It's an emotional, intense death. I love the cut to Scarlet Witch when he dies.
Oh man, and just goes berserk.
And she just like slow-mo screams, and everyone else just blows up. Like, man, like it's well written, really well written.
Yeah. And then, so I think that kind of also, maybe rage really is like, maybe it wasn't the best line to fit the idea of of AI, but it seems like it's a pretty overall consistent theme, because we have this rage in Black Widow, or sorry, Scarlet Witch.
Now you're doing it.
I've always done that.
I know. I get them mixed up all the time by accident, even though they're very different characters for me.
Scarlet Widow and Black Johansson.
You made me change my mind on that whole concept, though. The rage for the AI. As much as I don't necessarily like that line, I didn't think about the fact that he's also the Hulk. So it's actually a fitting line for him to say, because of the whole rage thing. So
I see.
You made
it's
me
coming
change my
from
mind.
The Hulk,
yeah, since it's coming from the Hulk, I actually think it builds up pretty well. And his character story arc by the end of this is about trying to handle that rage, with literally leaving everybody, saying like, is he worth it because of his rage? And it's actually a choice he makes as the Hulk, which is quite interesting. So, so you've changed my mind. My mind. Yeah, so good on you.
You're welcome. But, where were we? So, Quicksilver. I don't know where.
Scarlet Witch blows up.
Oh yeah. So she gets all mad, and then so I guess rage takes over her, and now she wants to go find Ultron and and really take him out, and then just forgets about everything else.
And that's
forgets
a good
about
scene.
what her
for
mission
her
was.
to get the payback is smart. I think that's really smart. Out of all characters to take out Ultron, it has to be either Tony or Scarlet Witch. The only reason it should be Scarlet Witch is based on the lines that they've had throughout the film. If they didn't have those lines, it should have been Tony, obviously. But the way that she kills him is so well done. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with her doing it. It almost seems kind of weird, because you give such power to a character that was seemingly unimportant compared to some others. But I guess maybe she was really important the whole time, because she's the one who's been giving us these visions. Like, we've been seeing the future because of her. Yeah. So I guess in a way it makes sense.
She's actually the downfall. She's actually the reason, I guess, Ultron gets created. Like, she plants the seed in Tony's head for him to even do that. She's the puppet master, I guess, behind the whole thing.
Oh, you're right.
So without her doing that, I guess he wouldn't have been created. So like I said, it has to be either her or him that kills Ultron. But
okay, I like it more now.
Yeah, there you go. Why does Ultron have a heart? She pulls out his heart. Why does he have a heart?
I guess, to an extent, like, it's probably just kind of like Tony Stark's arc reactor
built this in a cave.
So the arc reactor, it's basically the thing that like powers everything, right? So I guess even though Ultron has a brain and stuff, he still needs something like some sort of central power.
He has a heart reactor.
He has a heart reactor. It's a heart reactor.
So after that, everybody hops on the helicarrier. They go home and they eat pizza.
Did they eat pizza in this one?
No,
they probably did.
I don't know. What actually happened? How does this end? The thing blows up. The rock blows up, and everybody is safe on the pod.
We don't really see, but
I just think the rock. I remember the rock blowing up. Thor hits the thingy. He plays the carnival game, bangs the gong.
So so it blows up, but it all crashes into the ocean. Like the bits of it fly into the. You're talking about like the Sokovia rock, right? So all of it flies into the ocean,
which is weird.
Which is really weird, because why?
The whole point was it was going to land back onto the ground.
Yeah. So why did the trajectory change so much? It doesn't make sense. So anyway, the Hulk jumps into Ultron's little jet, throws him off, and he flies.
Yeah, I forgot he was in a jet.
He goes flying off, which is important to remember because this is kind of like how we get to him in Ragnarok.
Yes. Many movies away.
Yeah. And then what else? And then we see that kind of a little conversation between Vision and that last Ultron robot, where they're talking about the fault of humans and
yes.
And stuff like that.
There's
and
grace
then we
in their faults.
Yeah, and then we see this big blinding light.
And it's really weird. He just attacks him. It just goes to a blinding light.
Like, what was he hoping to achieve with that?
Don't
like,
know.
I think that's I guess that's why the theme of rage is kind of consistent.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because like, it doesn't make sense for Ultron of all people to not be so calculated and not be in. I guess no, he's never really been in control of his actions. Like, he cut off Claw's arm without meaning to.
True.
In a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess rage takes him over a lot. I guess you're right. Maybe rage is the whole theme to this.
The rage of Ultron.
Maybe the screenwriters had rage while writing this because it is a bit of a mess.
Probably. But anyway, after that, so we see this big blinding light from the Vision, it blows them up, and then we're back at the safe house, and everybody's okay. Tony's driving his fast cars.
We're getting our ending Shield base, the new Shield headquarters.
Yep. We got the 3 testosterone guys talking about the logistics of Thor's hammer, of who should be able to wield it.
Right.
An elevator should be able to pick it up.
Yeah. Elevator's not worthy.
I guess it is. And then we get that scene that you and I did for the beginning of our Act 3, and then we see the rookies.
Oh right.
The rookies.
Avengers.
The Rook-Vengers.
The Rook-Vengers, which is Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Captain America.
Well, Black Widow and Captain America, I guess, are the trainers.
Yes, but they're still part. Like, this is the new Avengers, though, I guess.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah.
Who's it again, though? It's Falcon, Scarlet Witch.
So, yeah, and then Cap, Black Widow, Vision, War Machine, Falcon. Yeah, that's it.
Hawkeye.
No, well, he's not. He wasn't in that scene.
Oh, you're right. You're right. And I guess actually he did say that was like his last run anyway. So for the purposes of this movie, that is just the new Avengers there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Interesting.
And then then we get. I actually really like this little cinematic thing where it's kind of like that sculpture of the big fight, and it's kind of like this porcelain kind of milky looking giant.
I don't remember this.
It's like. So they basically have this like the CGI kind of draft, or I don't know what you would call it, but it's they're showing all of the Avengers in that church scene, like in that 360 fight.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know.
But it's like this sculpted model, like a CGI model. It looks really cool. I'd like to have that.
Yeah, I don't know who makes those, but it's like this is the ending credits model. You know, I have a buddy who works in some of those kinds of things, and there was a movie, I want to say Skull Island. It was the King Kong movie or something. And there was an ending credits that was really, like, over the top. And I remember asking him, I was like, are ending credits, like, something you guys have to work on? Like, just as much as shots in the movie? And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, sometimes the ending credits are harder than the actual shots in the movie. And I was like, why? Like, it's
I
so
guess it could be
weird.
harder because, like, you don't have the same concept of, like, following the storyline.
But also, like,
right?
why?
Like,
what's the point? I guess, well, here you are talking about it, so maybe it works. Sorry, my fiance's coming in with our dog.
Kova looks like a kangaroo.
She does look like a kangaroo. Does she look bigger to you at all?
Yeah, but I also never see her like spread
true.
out. Yeah. So she looks way bigger than normal.
Hi.
Kova the kangaroo.
She's been good. She's just been lying down. She made one little whoa. That was about the noise, right? It was something like that.
Yeah, she was just imitating you.
Yeah, with your bow, dude. She could probably go outside though. Anyways, we're almost done. I'll take her out after.
And anyway, yeah. So the last thing would just be the post-credit scene,
right.
Or mid-credit scene, I guess.
I think it's the only credit scene. I believe this only has this. Yeah, it is mid-credits. You're right, but it's the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And it is da 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 da. Say the line.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
You know, I watched a YouTube video on this, and it's ruined this line for me. But what is he saying? Who is he talking to, and what is the context of this line?
Well, okay, so yeah, exactly. Like I kind of had the same questions because, so now he's talking as if Ultron was doing something that he wanted to do, which was but it's not, because that's not what we get from him in Infinity War. That's what we get from him in Endgame.
Yeah, is Thanos even aware of Ultron? Like, does he have any idea of Ultron in this? Or is he talking maybe about Guardians? Is he possibly talking about Guardians with the dude with the purple stone? Losing it there? Like, where's the context of him saying, like, fine, as if something just went wrong? I'll do it myself. Assuming that somebody else screwed up something that he wanted done.
So yeah, like, but it's not I don't think it would be Guardians either, because to me that doesn't make sense for him to say that after
that dude, I don't remember his
after
name.
Ronan the accusator.
Ronan.
The accuser.
The accusator?
Because Ronan basically betrayed Thanos.
Yes.
Right? He said he was going to kill him. So then if he loses, why would Thanos then go
Fine,
around and
I'll
say,
betray
"Fine,
myself."
I will kill myself myself.
So I watched this in a YouTube video, and it's just ruined that line for me. Now I don't get it. I think it's literally just for the audience, and that's frustrating. It shouldn't be a line that only the audience understands what he's saying. Like, it needs to make sense in the MCU, but I don't know how it makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it would have been fine if he came out, like, so he puts the glove on, or whatever, but he doesn't say anything. Like, maybe just, like, smiles or something. I don't know, but, like if you give him lines, that means he's, like, there's some sort of known intent.
He should have said, time to go to work. That would have been a better line. Time to go to work. And puts on the glove. Like that would have been better. The only way that fine, I'll do it myself makes any sense, and this is so frustrating, the only way it makes any sense is if he's having a completely separate conversation with somebody else in a room that we can't see behind him, and he's talking about something that has nothing to do with the stone or the glove, and he's just saying, fine, I'll do it myself, as he's grabbing this glove. I think it's the only thing that makes sense.
It's so strange. I don't understand why, like, what they're supposed to connect to there, because like, he's not supposed to our knowledge, and when we see him later on, like, it doesn't look like he's following what's happening on Earth to that extent. I think he knows about the Avengers, but not, like, doesn't he?
I don't know.
I think he does.
I don't think he's mentioned the Avengers yet, so we don't know if he knows yet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, it's weird.
It's
a weird scene.
Now that we're at the end of the movie, I'll just quickly say, my fiance and I were talking about this movie after we watched it. She brought up a really interesting point, and she had said, does this movie make any difference in the long run? And it was a really interesting point, because I was like, it really doesn't change much for the actual full story here we're trying to get for the Infinity Stones. It doesn't do all that much other than the Vision thing with the Mind Stone. Yeah. But other than that, like, Ultron doesn't play a larger role in the whole stones. He's not really doing anything that has to do with the stones. When Loki did in the first Avengers, at least it was leading up to something. I think it would have made more sense if Ultron was much more involved with the stones somehow, and that was leading up. Maybe Ultron even got like 2 of the stones or something, and then Thanos was able to get the 2 stones from him to lead into Infinity War. Just something to make it like more, I don't know, strung along like a story. But this movie feels more like Merry Christmas Tony Stark again. It's like it's almost trying to be an offshoot than it is trying to be part of the whole main storyline.
Yeah, no, that's true, because like, so the bits with Thor going out and going for the skinny dip, like, he doesn't need to.
And like total runtime is like 4 minutes for all those Thor scenes. Like,
and like, he doesn't have to be doing that during this movie, right? Like, we need that. So we need Scarlet Witch and we need Thor, because they're the ones that are realizing what's happening in the future.
Yes.
Or what will happen in the future.
Yep.
But for everybody else, like, it doesn't seem like they take anything from it, other than the fact that, like, we had the Sokovia Accords that happen in Civil War, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess, like, the damage from this movie is carrying forward, but that's about it. This is okay. I guess I could just take this as, like, this is just a transition movie.
Yes. But it's an Avengers film. It shouldn't be a transition movie.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like a filler movie, but it's an Avengers movie.
A lot of the meat on the bones is actually in Civil War and not in the Avengers movie, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So I think, okay, I can see how maybe in the grand scheme of things, like, if you were doing the storyboarding or something, or if you're, like, creating the whole story arc for the MCU, and not necessarily putting more weight on a movie just because it's the Avengers versus something like Iron Man. So Avengers, you would naturally think, has so much more weight because it has so many high level characters and cast members all together in one. So you automatically just take this as this must be a big time movie. But I guess you just have to take it as, for the grand scheme of things, the like certain things just have to be in place in order for us to get to the end.
Yes.
Which, like, it's kind of like that's almost like a cop out reason, because you still want the process to be done well. You want to execute everything well because you want the audience to be traveling along with the story, that to make sure that it makes sense and that they are understanding what connections that they're supposed to get. So yeah, it does suck that we get that from an Avengers movie, but I think we just have to take this as this is just a step that needs to be taken at some point,
right,
to get to where we are in Infinity War and Endgame. And maybe it would be too difficult to do that in any of the individual cast movies, because then we would be taking away. I guess this could have been fine for maybe like the Iron Man 3 movie instead of what we went through in that.
True. Yeah.
But like we I don't think they could do this. Like they can't take away from Civil War. I think Civil War is too important as is. In terms of like the rift between all of them, we can't take away from Black Panther, because it wouldn't make sense for any of these to happen from like in those movies. But you know what I mean. So like the movies that are based on like an individual character or like some other specific cast other than the group, like the ensemble of the Avengers, if you put it in those individual movies, then you take away from, I think, what you need to build those individual characters up. So
right.
I think we just have to take it as like it's just one of those sacrificial movies, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about it in that way when she mentioned it, though. Yeah, I think about it that way now too. I feel like that's more what it is. It's unfortunate that's what it is, but it is, I guess. I think we just answered this question, by the way, so we're going in wrong order for our post-film questions, but we kind of just, how does this film rate as like a piece of the bigger picture, you know? I feel like that's kind of just what we covered. So let's go into our other questions here. Anth0z, what was your worst character in this whole film?
Oh, jeez.
Oh.
I think I want to say Tony.
Oh wow!
Iron Man.
Interesting. Hot takes.
I think so. I think like it's like what I said. There were some characteristics of him that I feel like shouldn't have been portrayed here as much as they were. You have a little shoulder
I have
massage.
a little shoulder friend here.
Yeah. So yeah, like the things that Tony was going through, like we've gone through some of these things before, and it just, to me, like why has he reverted? There's no reason for him to revert.
Right.
So
regress. Yeah. He's regressed back to his Iron Man 2 days, I guess.
Yeah,
beginning basically. Of Iron Man 2. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think my least favorite character though is Bruce Banner, not the Hulk, but Bruce Banner.
Okay.
I just don't. Yeah. This is the start of me not liking Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. And I should say Bruce Banner because I like the Hulk. I think the Hulk is well done. I like the CGI. I like the lines. I like the direction they take him. But I feel like that has nothing to do with Mark Ruffalo. And the Mark Ruffalo part of it all, playing Bruce Banner, just starts to feel so awkward. And it gets really bad once we get to Infinity War. But this is where you're starting to see it. And that first line with the, what's a girl like you doing in a place like this? That's where I'm suddenly like, give me Edward Norton back. Like, I want better than this. So he's my least favorite in this movie.
Okay.
Who is your favorite character?
I think I'm going to go with Hawkeye.
Yeah, he really does fly off the page, doesn't he?
Yeah, I wish we got more from him because I think there would have been enough setup for him to do more. Like I said, like they painted him out to have more purpose or to seem like he would be able to contribute more to the Avengers than just a bow and arrow. But yeah, like you said, he was showing some leadership, and I think we definitely had some good moments with him. That whole back and forth with Quicksilver was kind of cool. And then but I just still wish we could have seen more from him. Yeah.
I wish I could say Ultron because he is probably one of my favorite of the Avengers kind of villains. I think I'm gonna have to give that to Thanos, unfortunately, the whole end. But because we just get more time to learn Thanos, but I just really want to know more about Ultron. He's a very interesting villain. But I got to give my favorites to Scarlet Witch. I think she really blows me away in this film. She's just a really interesting character. Like, as we talked about the puppet master behind this film, she's got a really interesting arc as the whole film goes on. And she's just so powerful. It's just crazy. She's constantly, like, confusing you with how powerful she is. And her acting's really good, too. I follow the story quite well, and I find it really endearing watching her. I don't like her at the very end of the film. I don't like the look she has for the new Avengers.
Her like hair's like blonde or something?
She looks totally different. She's got all this makeup on and stuff. It looks totally different. And that's not how she looks even in Civil War, so it's very weird. Anyways, but I'd say she's my favorite. Runner-up goes to Claw. I think he's really good. He's barely in this movie, and he's so good. His acting is insane. And I just love his character. He's funny. He's like funny and just like really evil at the same time, but just like non-apologetic. So he's a good character too.
And it's funny how he's just like always like that no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Like he's at this point where like he's so deep into whatever he does. Like he's not threatened by like these enhanced people who are trying to intimidate him, right? Like
Tony Stark.
So like Quicksilver runs and grabs one of the candies that he offered them earlier. Runs back. Claw notices like, oh, he's enhanced. Okay, but then keeps going with the conversation. Like he's just not even phased. Like doesn't care. Right. So yeah, I like it.
And with that, that's going to conclude our Avengers 2 Age of Ultron film. So Anth0z,
The Rage of Ultron.
The Rage. Good one. Ooh, that was smart. Hey.
Thanks.
Anything else you want to say about the film before we head out? Head out, as the Canadians say.
Oh, it was so long.
So long.
I'm glad I got through it.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to watch it again, too, before we did this podcast, but I was like, no, I can't.
Yeah, don't make yourself go through
that. Might be the last time I ever watch that movie. We'll see. Okay, thank you all for listening to the podcast. Be sure to catch us on our next Marvel movie marathon episode. It's going to be the last film in the Phase 2 of the Marvel Universe, and it is going to be Ant-Man. You would think it would end on Avengers, but no, it ends on Ant-Man.
Nope. Yeah, I think that kind of emphasizes more of my point. That like Avengers, just because it's the big group ensemble movie doesn't mean it's going to be like the big movie. Yeah. It's just another step in the story.
Yeah. We have to learn about the multiverse first before we can move on to Phase 3, apparently. So we're going to move into that on our next one. And we'll see you guys there. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.